Epic atheist debate lord Richard Dawkins defines a meme as a unit of cultural transmission. In other words, a pattern of behavior that spreads from person to person by means of imitation. Whether conscious of it or not, we are constantly spreading our memes, our patterns of behavior, and arguably, we ought to be more mindful of the ways we do so. So how can one more effectively pass on their desirable patterns of behavior while also inheriting the behavior that you want from others?
Fundamentally, the way we choose which of these socially informed behaviors we perform are based on positive and negative reinforcement. Your parents grounding you for smoking weed in your bedroom and rewarding you with a combo meal for finally getting a job. You decide to punish yourself for not folding your clothes and decide to reward yourself with a sweet little treat for finally folding your clothes. Your friends telling you that they're not going to do the YouTube channel with you anymore unless you stop smoking crack. There are plenty of obvious behaviors we know not to reinforce, like murder. The question is, what behaviors that aren't obvious should we be reinforcing? And how do we reinforce them?
Now let's go through the various ways to pass on your pattern of behavior and the pros and cons of each method. Having a child. This one is pretty obvious. Parent-child relationships are almost ubiquitous and have usually lifelong impacts on our lives. Pros. You get to train your little proto-human all the time. It's around you because it needs you to survive, and it replicates your behavior to learn how to act like a human person. Also, it makes life meaningful, if you're boomer-pilled. Cons. You have little discretion of what patterns of behavior you pass on, both your genetics and any behavior you demonstrate in front of it.
Peer reinforcement. This is relationships like friendships and friend groups, classmates and coworkers. These are the people you interact with on a near constant basis who you view on an equal level to yourself. Pros. This kind of reinforcement is barely below a parent-child relationship. You spend more time with these people than anyone else besides your family. The horizontal nature relationship of peer relationships means that you can both give and take patterns of behavior that you want more easily than hierarchical relationships. Cons. Because of the horizontal nature of these relationships, you can more easily be induced through peer pressure and ostracism into patterns of behavior that you might not want. Trying to pass on sobriety to a group of addicts can lead to ostracism, and you can even inherit that pattern of addiction from that group.
Mentorship. This is a one-on-one instructor relationship. A master and an apprentice of a trade. A teacher who has a special impact on a single student. Generally, someone who you look to for advice and assistance because they are older than you, know more than you, and can contextualize your life. Pros. A mentor-mentee relationship can be very powerful. Teaching is one thing, but within a mentorship, you inherit or pass on behaviors more specialized to your circumstances. A car mechanic who mentors an apprentice not only teaches them behaviors about how to approach the literal task of fixing cars, but also teaches a certain work ethic and style of viewing problems. Cons. A mentorship requires more voluntary support than other relationships. Without a strong connection and a willingness to both learn and teach on an individual level, mentorships can fizzle out or may not even form. Essentially, in today's atomized world, mentorships can be hard to come by.
Pedagogy. This is direct teaching from school classrooms to a sewing classroom in a community center. Teacher-student relationships are usually one person educating others on specific topics. Pros. Teaching is basically just telling someone what to do. You are seen as an authority figure and get to make all of the choices on what behaviors you require in your students. Cons. It's difficult to build one-on-one relationships because of your student size. Also, you can't enforce behaviors outside of what you're teaching.
Art. Artistry is a method of passing on one's behavior which sounds strange, but it occurs all the time. Entertainment like TV or movies can make one emulate a character or a worldview present in that media, and art can show you a different perspective on the subject of that art. Pros. Messaging through art is extremely powerful. Art has the ability to reshape one's worldview and challenge one's thoughts. What an artist provides is not just entertainment, but a unique and unobstructed lens into the world that cannot be simply given. Cons. The consumer of the art has the discretion for what sort of art they absorb and what message they take from that art. An artist without consumers may only be screaming into the void, and an artist without an audience may still fall on deaf ears.
Social media influencers. people whose content you consume in a way apart from traditional media is a unique sort of relationship. Parasociality, as a phenomenon, means that an audience potentially larger than any blockbuster movie is absorbing the patterns of behavior of a single creator as though they are peers, without having that same effect on the creator. Pros. The unobstructed beaming of ideas and behaviors from social media into one's mind means that social media can induce patterns of behavior in people without even knowing it. The influencer has an extreme form of power in the relationship between them and their audience. The audience member's view of the creator as someone they know on a personal level means that the influencer can induce behaviors that they willingly choose to induce. The audience, on the other hand, takes on the behaviors and ideas of the influencer without necessarily understanding the unequal power dynamic, which might drive them from taking on those behaviors if they were aware of it. Cons. The influencer must play a particular social game with their audience to maintain their influence. To keep their engagement, they must simultaneously fashion a niche and keep to it, while ensuring that their content is not too niche so that they can grow. For the audience, they exist in this relationship in an autocratic fashion. They do not have power over the creator beyond their choice to view them, and cannot individually create behavioral changes beyond asking for them. So, the creator can willingly induce highly negative patterns of behavior as long as they play their social game correctly. The audience member's lack of awareness of this reinforcement can lead to unknowingly taking on negative or even disabling behaviors. There is already studies showing some social media users taking on functional tics from watching those with them. You, without even knowing it, are a sponge of ideas and behaviors. You are constantly taking in and releasing patterns of behavior into the world through cultural osmosis. What you are influencing others to do is contributing to the greater whole. So maybe it's worth thinking a little closer about the behaviors you watch and take in.